January 29th, 1595. A crowd gathers at a London theater to watch a brand new play by some guy named William Shakespeare. It's about two teenagers who fall in love, defy their parents, and, well, it doesn't end well. Nobody in that audience had any idea they were watching what would become the most famous love story ever written. A tale that would be adapted into movies, ballets, operas, and even a Leonardo DiCaprio film where he says, "Wherefore art thou?" while standing on a balcony talking to Claire Danes. But here's the thing. Shakespeare didn't actually write an original story. He basically plagiarized someone else's work and made it better. So let's be clear. Romeo and Juliet wasn't Shakespeare's idea. Like, at all. The story of star-crossed lovers from feuding families had been floating around Italy for decades. There was an Italian version, a French version, and in 1562, an English poet named Arthur Brooke wrote a very long poem called The Tragical History of Romeus and Juliet. Brooke's version was not great. It was 3,000 lines of poetry that took 9 months to read. Okay, maybe not 9 months, but it felt like it. Romeo was kind of whiny. Juliet was barely a character. And the whole thing had this preachy moral about how disobeying your parents leads to doom. Shakespeare read it and thought, I can fix this. First, he made them young, like really young. Juliet is explicitly 13 years old in the play. Romeo's age isn't mentioned, but he's probably around 16 to 17. This wasn't shocking to Elizabethan audiences. People married young back then, but it made the story feel urgent and reckless in a way that resonated. Second, he compressed the timeline. In Brooke's poem, the romance takes months. Shakespeare squeezed the entire tragedy into 5 days. They meet on Sunday, marry on Monday, and by Thursday they're both dead. Talk about moving fast. Third, he created Mercutio, the foul-mouthed, witty, scene-stealing best friend who delivers the Queen Mab speech and gets killed in a street brawl. That's all Shakespeare. Mercutio is so good that some scholars think Shakespeare had to kill him off early because he was stealing the show. And finally, he added humor. The nurse is hilarious. Mercutio's dirty jokes would make a sailor blush. Even in the darkest moments, there are puns, which, yes, Shakespeare loved puns more than anyone should. So, on January 29th, 1595, the play premiered at a London theater, probably at the Theatre in Shoreditch or the Curtain Playhouse, though we're not 100% sure. The audience? Mostly rowdy Londoners who paid a penny to stand in the pit, the groundlings, plus some wealthier folks who actually got seats. People ate, drank, heckled the actors, and occasionally threw vegetables if the show was bad. We don't have reviews from opening night, but the play was popular enough that Shakespeare published it 2 years later in 1597. And then it became a phenomenon. It's been translated into every major language. There have been over 50 film adaptations. And the balcony scene? It's been parodied, referenced, and recreated more times than we can count. The wildest part? Shakespeare never saw a dime in royalties. Copyright didn't exist back then, so anyone could perform his plays without paying him. He made his money as a theater shareholder, not from the actual writing. And that story he borrowed? Nobody remembers Arthur Brooke's version anymore. Shakespeare took a mediocre poem and turned it into the defining story of tragic young love. So the next time someone tells you it's been done before, remember, Romeo and Juliet wasn't original. It was just done better. And that, folks, is how you steal a story and make it immortal.